In my past life, Cal Gu and I were known as the model couple in our community, but only I knew the truth. What I endured was a marriage of emotional neglect. His heart belonged to another woman, a mistress he pined for. He loved neither me nor the child I bore him. Returning to the 1990s, I looked at my 3-month pregnant belly and went to the hospital for the procedure. Then she filed for divorce from him. This time, I decided to let him go, and to free myself as well. At the entrance of the textile factory compound, my best friend Ningning pointed at Cal Gu, who had just stepped out of a small car with his long legs, and teased, "Tansy, look, your factory director Gu is back." Following the direction she pointed, I caught sight of the young Cal Gu. At 25, Cal Gu had striking features, arched brows and starry eyes, possessing an allure that could make hearts race at first glance. Gazing at this version of Cal Gu, I finally realized I had truly been reborn. I was reborn and went back 20 years ago, just 3 months into my pregnancy. Your husband, Director Gu, is truly one of a kind, wealthy and handsome. Tansy, you're so incredibly lucky. Hearing Ningning's words, I couldn't help but feel a pang of bitterness in my heart. Are you blessed? Perhaps. But this blessing doesn't belong to me alone, it belongs to others too. Hey, why didn't he greet you when he saw you? Amidst Ningning's astonished voice, I saw Cal Gu's gaze sweep past me as if I were invisible. Then he walked around to the passenger side, carefully helping a woman in a white dress holding a child out of the car, shielding them as they walked toward the residential compound. Tansy, why is there another woman in your husband Director Gu's car? Does he even know who his real wife is? Tansy, come on, let's go and confront Cal Gu properly. What exactly does he mean by this? What else could it mean? Probably just that he doesn't love me. I held back the hot-tempered Ningning and forced a bitter smile. It's okay, Ningning, it's over between him and me. He can be with whoever he wants. Yes, we're over. Actually, Cal Gu and I aren't a good match. He's the most promising young man in the compound. At a young age, he became the deputy director of the textile factory, while I was just an ordinary worker, because I unintentionally helped Cal Gu's grandmother. Under the arrangement of our parents, we ended up together by a twist of fate. But for me, Cal Gu was just a compromise, but I truly loved him. For this love, I endured silently for a lifetime. But in this life, I will no longer torment myself for his sake. Facing Ningning's worried gaze, I smiled indifferently. Then I returned to what we called home. After packing up all my belongings in the room, I went to bed without waiting for Cal Gu. I knew Cal Gu wouldn't be coming back tonight. Counting the time. This was when his mistress Fei Lin was making the biggest fuss about getting a divorce. He just had to stay by her side and comfort her properly, didn't he? Sure enough, when she woke up early the next morning, Cal Gu's room remained perfectly tidy. There was no sign that anyone had returned. After breakfast, I wasn't in a hurry to go to work. I sat in the living room waiting for Cal Gu to return. Cal Gu came back before going to work, seeing me still at home. He didn't say a word with a dark expression and went straight to his room. I could always tell he was in a bad mood when he acted like this. I definitely wouldn't bother him with my own problems now, but I've already decided to break up with him, so why should I care about his mood? I blocked his path back to the room. Cal Gu, let's talk. Upon hearing my words, Cal Gu looked at me with utter disgust and said, "What is there to talk about? I've already gotten you pregnant. As long as you give birth to this child, no one can take away your title as the wife of factory director Gu. What more could you possibly want?" Even though I had decided to let go of my feelings for Cal Gu from the moment I was reborn, hearing him say this still made my heart ache unavoidably. For myself, and for the baby in my belly. In my past life, I gave birth to her, but she wasn't happy at all, because she found that no matter what she did, she couldn't make her father happy. Yet children naturally love their parents. Even with my wholehearted love, she still feels lost and sad. She was born into such a dysfunctional family, witnessing all her father's betrayals and neglect toward me. She grew up unable to trust any man and never found happiness until after my death. The question she asked me most often was, "Mom, if Dad doesn't love me, then why did you give birth to me? I'd rather you had never brought me into this world." At this thought, my heart grows cold and hard. Looking at Cal Gu, she said, "Since you're in so much pain, let's get a divorce, we'll go through the formalities tomorrow morning." Cal Gu raised his eyes, staring at me intently, then suddenly laughed. "Tansy Liu, what new trick is this of yours, playing hard to get? I know you saw Faye yesterday. What? Seeing us together made you jealous? You love being jealous so much. Then go ahead and indulge in it, because there's nothing between us to hide. And I won't stop interacting with her just because you throw a tantrum." Cal Gu's words made my heart ache uncontrollably. That's exactly how he was in our past life. He said there was nothing between him and Fei Lin, that they were just good friends. Yet they did all sorts of ambiguous things under the guise of being good friends, causing my daughter and me a lifetime of pain. At this thought, I smiled bitterly and said, "I mean it, Cal Gu, I know you don't like me. Getting a divorce would be good for both of us. No matter if you end up with Fei Lin or some other girl in the future, no one will ruin your fun anymore. As for the child, you don't need to worry at all. I'll go to the hospital soon to have an abortion. I won't make things difficult for you. Born into such a family. Even the daughter wouldn't want it. This time, I won't let her come into this world to suffer." Hearing me say this, Cal Gu finally began to look at me seriously. He gazed intently at my face with a deep, heavy look, as if trying to detect any trace of me playing hard to get, but I was completely sincere. He could find nothing. Cal Gu suddenly sneered and said, "Tansy Liu, you really aren't afraid I might agree to you, are you? You're an uneducated, penniless textile factory worker. Without me, what kind of decent life could you possibly have?" The old Tansy Liu might have worried about how she would manage as a divorced woman. But having lived an extra lifetime, I've witnessed decades of our motherland's flourishing future. Leaving him, Cal Gu, the sky is high and the sea is wide. Life will only get better, I said coolly. No need for you to worry about that. Cal Gu had been repeatedly humiliated by me, and now his temper was finally provoked. Hearing my words, he let out a strange laugh and said, "Fine, let's divorce then. Tansy Liu, I just hope you mean what you say and don't regret it later. If you really dare to abort the child and go with me to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce certificate, I might actually respect you a bit more. Don't come crawling back to me on your knees like a dog later, begging for mercy." How pathetic. Cal Gu's words stabbed at my heart like knives. The pain was so intense I felt like vomiting blood. How could I have almost forgotten? When it comes to hurting people, who could be crueler than him? I truly loved him desperately before. Every time we argued and I got angry with him, I couldn't bear his silent treatment. Then I would run back to him, humbling myself and begging him to come back. Isn't it just like a dog? But not anymore. From now on, Tansy Liu will only live for herself. With a pale face, I said, "Don't worry. I won't let you look down on me. I'll go to the hospital this afternoon to get rid of the baby. Let's meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau early tomorrow morning without fail." Cal Gu looked down at me with a cold smile and said, "Fine, we'll meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau without fail. Whoever doesn't show is a dog." After saying that, he slammed the door shut impatiently and left. Watching his retreating figure, I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. It seems he still doesn't believe I'm serious about divorcing him. But he'll soon realize every word I said was true. After calling the factory to take a leave, I went straight to the hospital. When I left the hospital, the baby in my womb was already gone. Back home, lying on the bed, I touched my now flat belly and couldn't stop crying. "I'm sorry, baby. In my past life, I brought you into this world without your consent. This time, Mom won't let you come to this world to suffer. I hope you'll be reborn into a happy family, with a father and mother who truly love you." And Mom must move forward now. In the 1990s, during the nation's vigorous development, opportunities were everywhere. And this time I wasn't going to miss out. The next morning, I got up early and waited at the Civil Affairs Bureau, but Cal Gu was late and didn't show up. When I called, Cal Gu seemed to have just woken up, and there was faintly a woman's voice on the other end of the line. Even though it was very faint, I could still recognize Fei Lin's voice. Knowing they had been together all night, if this were before, I would have been insanely jealous. But this time, I just felt disgusted. "Cal Gu, why haven't you come to the Civil Affairs Bureau yet? Going back on your word. Do you want to be a dog?" Cal Jiu was stunned for a moment, then said in disbelief, Tansy Liu, you actually went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Are you serious? It's just one night away from home. Faye's child had a fever. And I was taking care of the kid. Can you stop being so jealous and making a scene? Otherwise, don't blame me for not giving you face or caring about the baby in your belly. I might really divorce you. Even now, Cal Jiu still thinks I'm using divorce to control him. I sneered, no need to give me face or worry about the child. I already had an abortion yesterday. Just come and get the divorce. As soon as the words fell, I heard Fei Lin's exclamation. Then came the sound of something shattering, followed by the slam of a door. 10 minutes later, Cal Jiu appeared before me. Cal Jiu stood before me, his eyes bloodshot, his face dark and menacing as he glared at me. Tansy Liu, you've really outdone yourself. How dare you? How dare you kill my child? I looked at Cal Jiu in confusion. He seemed to be at the peak of his fury. What does he have to be angry about? Clearly, from the very beginning, he was the one who most resented the child's existence. Cal Jiu, you're the one keeping a mistress outside. What makes you think I wouldn't dare to abort the child? Cal Jiu looked at me, utterly speechless. What do you mean by mistress? Faye is my friend. She's going through a tough divorce right now and having a hard time. What's wrong with me helping her out? How can your mind be so dirty? Don't you know there are other kinds of relationships between men and women besides romance? Cal Gu's righteous attitude made me look like an unreasonable shrew in comparison. As soon as these words were spoken, the staff nearby seemed ready to mediate. I coldly interrupted. What kind of couple sticks together all day and night? Not even knowing to come home in the evening. What kind of friend gives away every last penny of their salary to the other, not even caring to support their own family? What kind of friend lets the other live in their house without charging a single cent in rent? Cal Jiu, admit it. You're keeping one foot in each camp. You're just a scumbag. Cal Gu's face grew darker and darker as I spoke, but I knew this wasn't enough, so I played my trump card and sneered. Didn't you say whoever doesn't divorce is a dog? So the great director Gu is willing to be my dog now. Come on, kneel down and bark for me. I might just agree not to divorce today. Cal Gu, who had always held himself high and mighty in front of me, had never suffered such humiliation before. Sure enough, his expression darkened as he glared at me and said, Fine, let's divorce then. Tansy Liu, remember, you forced me into this. If you ever regret this, even if you kneel and kowtow to beg me, I won't forgive you. Kneel and kowtow, no way. Cal Jiu, I will never regret this. The divorce proceedings were completed in just a few minutes. The division of our assets was also straightforward. I took 10,000 from our savings and kept one of the houses. That was the house Cal Gu's grandmother said she wanted to leave me before she passed away. That is, the one lent to Tansy Liu and her son, where they currently live. I won't imitate some female leads in romantic dramas who pretend to be aloof and refuse everything. These are all what I rightfully deserve. Why shouldn't I take them? After returning, I took my belongings and moved out from there. I wasn't in a hurry to go back to work. So I checked into a hotel and rested for a few days. Having just had a miscarriage, I didn't want to risk any health complications. I didn't want to go back to my parents' home either, knowing that I divorced Cal Jiu. My family would definitely think I'm crazy, then they'd force me to beg Cal Jiu for a remarriage. During my days recuperating at the hotel, I didn't meet anyone. I ate and slept normally every day, as if nothing had happened. But one night, I saw the pink thermos cup I had stored in my suitcase. Then, I broke down in tears. That was my little one's favorite drinking cup in the previous life, after turning 1 year old, when she could drink water by herself. The little one would hold this insulated cup and drink on her own. She would sweetly call me mommy and then bury her soft little body in my arms. But now, everything is gone. I aborted her, at the cost of nearly cutting out my own flesh. I excised Cal Jiu from my life. When he got married, he clearly told me that although he didn't love me yet, he would strive to be a good husband. But when Fei Lin returned, everything changed. He was no longer a good husband, nor would he ever become a good father. It was his wavering heart that killed the me who once loved him so deeply, and my little treasure. How could I not hate him? How could I not resent him? I will never, ever let him off. I just didn't expect that before I could make a move, Fei Lin would be so eager to come looking for trouble with me. That day, after recovering my health, I returned to the textile factory. But before I could even enter the factory area, I was stopped at the gate by our workshop team leader, Li, who had always been at odds with me, stood there with her arms crossed, looking smug and arrogant as she stared at me. Tansy Liu, you've been absent for a week and have been fired by our director Lin. From now on, stay away on your own accord. You're no longer part of our factory, and these places aren't for random people like you to just walk into. Don't come in casually anymore. Director Lin, Li chuckled. That's right, Director Fei Lin. Didn't you know, she's our newly appointed head of the HR department now. She is fair and won't show favoritism or let anyone pull strings. Oh, I forgot. Li covered her plump mouth and laughed. I almost forgot. Some people aren't the deputy factory manager's wife anymore. Can't even pull strings if they wanted to. You can only pack up and leave now. Ha ha ha. Get lost already. My heart slowly sank. It was Fei Lin. She really couldn't wait. Could she? I didn't want to stay here anyway. Actually, I came today to resign. Didn't expect Fei Lin to make the first move, since she's in such a hurry. I don't mind sending her and Cal Gu to their deaths a little earlier. I didn't make a scene. I packed up my things and left the textile factory. But before leaving, I slipped a whistleblower letter under the door of the factory director's office. It reported Cal Gu for abusing his power by appointing his inexperienced and unqualified mistress as the head of the personnel department without proper procedures. This was the 90s after all. No matter how talented and promising Gu Sinan might be, as long as his conduct was improper, that alone was enough to nail him to the pillar of shame. Afraid Cal Gu wouldn't be ruined. I even wrote an anonymous letter to his rival, the workshop director who had been competing with him for the deputy factory manager position. I believe these 2 letters of complaint will teach that scumbag and that bitch how to behave properly. After leaving the textile factory, I didn't idle around and went straight to the apartment I got in the divorce settlement. Right after getting the divorce certificate, I had someone deliver a message to Fei Lin, telling her to move out. I never expected her to be so shameless, staying put without moving an inch. In that case, I don't need to spare her any dignity either. Right there on the street, I hired a few burly thugs to help her move out. Just as her belongings were being tossed out, Fei Lin returned home, dressed in a white gown. Seeing that I had thrown all her belongings out the door, her face twisted with anger. Who are you? Get out now. This is trespassing, and I can sue you. The leader of the thugs rolled his eyes at her. Oh, how shameless is this homewrecker who's taken over someone else's nest. Return your house. Show us the property deed then. This is the residential compound of the textile factory. Surrounded by its employees, it was rush hour after work, with an unusually large crowd of people getting off duty. Hearing there was gossip here, everyone gathered around. Seeing so many people, Fei Lin's face turned red with shyness. She looked at me with teary eyes, seemingly extremely wronged. I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. I crossed my arms and walked over, saying, right, of course you're not. It's just that Cal Gu willingly let you live in his house for free, willingly gave you his entire salary, and even willingly promoted someone who didn't even finish high school straight to the position of HR director. After 3 years of marriage, I finally realized how generous he is with his help. What? Giving her both the house and his salary? If that's not being a mistress, then what is? So she didn't even finish high school. She's hardly qualified to be our HR director. Deputy factory manager Gu is being way too unfair. Exactly. Keep it down. Deputy director Gu is coming over. As they spoke, Cal Gu hurried over. Having obtained the freedom he had longed for in his previous life, it seemed he wasn't doing as well as he had imagined. He looked haggard, still wearing the same clothes, a far cry from the dashing Cal Gu of a few days ago. But when he met my gaze, the exhaustion in his eyes vanished instantly, replaced instead by familiar disdain and irritation. Tansy Liu, I thought you had changed for the better, but I never expected you to still be so vicious. Targeting me is one thing. But why do this to Fei? She's a divorced woman raising a child alone, which is already hard enough, yet you still push her like this. Your heart is utterly rotten. I'm practically driven mad by Cal Gu's twisted logic. So you think it's fine to do shameless things but can't stand being called out for them. I picked up the broom by the door and swept it toward the despicable pair. Get out, get out. This is my house, and I can't stand having a vixen living here. If Director GU has such a kind heart, then he should take her into his own home. Cal GU shielded Fei Lin as they retreated into the hallway. He looked at me with a deep, intense gaze, then gave a provocative smile. Fine, Tansy Liu, you said it yourself, Fei. Let's go. I promise to arrange a place for you 100 times better than this one. With that, he flashed me another challenging smile. Fei Lin seemed to have thought of something, and upon hearing Cal Gu's words, 2 blushes flew onto her cheeks as she nodded obediently. Cal, thank you. The way the 2 of them were going back and forth, so full of affection, if it were in my past life, I would have definitely felt hurt and jealous. Now, I just feel disgusted. I'm literally about to vomit because of these 2 bitches. I picked up the broom beside me again and swung it at these 2 bitches. Get out, don't dirty my sight here, go somewhere else to be all lover-dovey. Fei Lin was driven away by me, but I don't plan to stay here either. Selling it is definitely out of the question. The future housing prices in Jing City are going to be ridiculously high. The value of keeping it is much greater than selling it. I entrusted my close friend Ningning to help rent out my house. After everything was arranged, I prepared to go to Yangcheng. Nowadays, everything in Yangcheng is at the forefront. Many people who go there to develop have made their first bucket of gold. On the day of my departure, after saying goodbye to Ningning, I was just about to head to the station. Then I saw Cal Gu and his good friend Yang Yu walking out of the residential compound. Not wanting to run into him, I hid behind a tree. Just in time, I overheard their conversation. Cal, who did you offend to get reported for abusing power and arranging a job for Fei Lin through improper means? You've sacrificed way too much for Fei Lin. Not only did you get divorced, but now you're also caught up in this scandal. If you ask me, since you like her so much, why not just marry her? Both of you are divorced anyway. What nonsense are you talking? Cal Gu said unhappily. Fei and I are just friends. Yang Yu scratched his head in confusion. You say you and Fei Lin are friends, then who do you like? Could it be your ex-wife? Cal Gu remained silent. Yang Yu was even more astonished. So you really do like Tansy Liu? If you like her, why did you divorce her? Cal Gu rubbed his temples and said, she was just too dramatic. She actually aborted the baby out of jealousy. If I didn't teach her a lesson, she would have walked all over me. Just wait, in a few days she'll come crawling back like a dog, begging on her knees for me to remarry her. Her parents favor sons over daughters. They'd never allow her divorce to ruin her brother's reputation. Yang Yu stared at Cal Gu for a long moment before raising his thumb in approval. Gotta hand it to you, Cal, you really know how to handle women. You're right. Those girls just can't be spoiled. Hihi. I heard Tansy Liu's parents said they won't let her come home. Just wait, she'll be begging you in a few days. When that happens, make sure you teach her a good lesson. Their conversation pierced my heart like needles. It hurt so much I could spit out a mouthful of blood. Watching Cal Gu's retreating figure, I realized how foolish I was in my past life to have spent it depressed over him. Turns out he knew all along about my struggles, how my parents favored sons over daughters, all my suffering. Yet he never once felt any pity for me, using it as leverage against me. It's okay, in this lifetime, I don't want him anymore. Let him wait patiently then. That pitiful Tansy Liu has long been dead. I will never go back there again. I boarded the train to Yangcheng and began a life of sourcing goods there to sell at street stalls in Husha. Having lived an extra lifetime, I knew full well that Husha held great promise for the future. I was originally a textile factory worker, and I've always had a good eye for clothing aesthetics. The clothes I brought in would sell out quickly in Shanghai. After a few rounds, my capital kept growing. Then I started reselling cassette tapes, posters, and pagas. A few months later, my initial capital had multiplied several times over. With the money I earned, I bought myself a storefront, using the aesthetic sensibilities of 20 years in the future. I decorated a bright and stylish clothing store. The clothing store was an instant hit as soon as it opened. The daily turnover surprisingly reached 5,000 when I called Ningning to share the good news. She was overjoyed for me. "Tansy, you really made the right move. I knew you could do it. By the way, have you heard about Cal Jiu and Fei Lin? It had been a long time since I last thought of these two names. Now hearing it, I just feel completely indifferent inside. Plentiful work has long filled my life, and everything from the past has been left behind me. Still, I'm quite curious about the impact of those 2 complaint letters I sent." I asked, "What happened to them?" Ningning, seeing me ask, immediately couldn't wait to gossip. "They're in trouble now. Honestly, it's Cal Gu's own fault. He brought this on himself. He had an affair right in front of you, promoted Fei Lin to HR director, and even forced you out. Then someone reported him. The factory manager initially tried to cover it up, but somehow, Cal Gu's rival, the workshop supervisor, also got a copy of the report. He made a huge fuss about it. Now not only has Fei Lin been kicked out, but Cal Jiu has also been suspended. You think he deserved it, don't you? Now everyone's cursing them for being shameless. It's just retribution for their evil deeds. They can't even step outside without people throwing rotten eggs at them. Serves them right. Yeah, indeed, those who are unfaithful in love will inevitably face the consequences." At the end of the conversation, Ningning suddenly said, "Tansy, Cal Jiu has approached me several times, always asking about your whereabouts. I didn't tell him, but it seems he found out anyway. I heard them say that Cal Jiu wants to resign now and go out on his own, and it seems the place he's heading to is Shanghai. I don't know if it's because of you, but you should stay away from him anyway. I've noticed he's been acting a bit off lately, as if he suddenly started loving you very much." "Alright, I got it." Ningning, hanging up the phone, I let out a cold laugh. I don't believe he would suddenly fall in love with me. Thinking of me is just a man's inherent cruelty, after all. What you can't have is always the best, but I would never go back to an old flame. I quickly put Cal Jiu out of my mind, because I was simply too busy. With the profits from the clothing store, I opened an electronics mall, selling Pegas, cassette tapes, radios, and gaming consoles. My cassette tapes are the newest and best sounding, and the pager prices are also fair. Business was booming right from the opening. Just as I was preparing to open a chain of stores, Cal Jiu arrived. At that moment, I had just finished dinner with my business partner when I saw Cal Jiu walking toward me with a frosty expression. It had been over half a year since we last met, and he seemed to be truly struggling. His face was haggard, exuding an intense aura of desolation. In contrast, I was dressed in the most fashionable red dress of the season. My hair was styled in large, wavy curls, and I wore delicate tassel earrings, wearing 7-centimeter high heels on my feet. No matter how you look at it, I appear exquisitely dazzling. It seems this version of me has stung Cal Gu's eyes. He strode up to me, tightly gripping my wrist, and said through gritted teeth, "Tansy Liu, it seems you've been doing quite well since leaving me. You're dressed up so nicely. What's the occasion? Got a new partner?" I carefully observed the look in Cal Gu's eyes, which seemed filled with resentment and jealousy. But clearly, he was the one who acted like a jerk. What right does he have to feel resentful and jealous? "Let go." I tried to pull my wrist free, but couldn't break his grip no matter how hard I struggled. As I struggled, Cal Gu's gaze grew even more furious. "What, now you won't even let me touch your hand? Tansy Liu, you really have found someone else, haven't you?" I scowled. "None of your business. It is my business." "Tansy, you'll never shake me off in this lifetime." Cal Jiu spoke the fiercest words, yet his voice was thick with a heavy nasal tone. After saying this, his eyes even turned red. This look, as if he truly loved me to the extreme and couldn't bear my departure. I found it extremely bizarre. Something just didn't feel right, wanting to figure out what madness Cal Jiu was up to. I stopped struggling and quietly watched him. Finally, Cal Jiu calmed down, holding me tightly in his arms. He said, "Tansy, I was wrong. I shouldn't have divorced you. I regret it. I truly regret it. I can't live without you. Let's remarry, okay? After we remarry, I promise to treat you well and never be unfaithful again. In this lifetime, I will never let you down again." I keenly caught the inconsistency in Cal Gu's words. I pushed him away abruptly and stared intently into his eyes. Kaljiyu. You've come back too, haven't you? Kaljiyu guiltily lowered his eyes. Yes, Tansy, I'm back too. How dare you say that? I was furious. Slap after slap landed on Kalgu's face. You still want to get back together with me? Keep dreaming your ridiculous fantasy. You're a worthless husband and father. What you did to me and our daughter in the past caused us a lifetime of pain. How dare you even say such things now? My precious child is gone forever, and you still want to hurt me. What gives you the right? You scumbag, tell me, what gives you the right? I screamed at the top of my lungs, venting the grievances of 2 lifetimes. Kaljiyu, what right does he really have, just because I, Tansy Liu, once loved him? Is this how you punish me? Who gave him the audacity to hurt me again and again? Under my bloodthirsty gaze, Kalgu's legs gave way, and he knelt before me. Tansy, I know I was wrong. I don't actually like Fei Lin. I just couldn't accept it. Why didn't she choose me back then? I wanted to prove I was the best, to make her regret it, but I never expected to hurt you and Xiaobao in the process. In my past life, only after you died did I realize how terribly wrong I was. Tansy, I regret it. I truly regret it. Please give me a chance to make it up to you, okay? The proud and arrogant Kaljiyu had never been so humble before, yet I felt no emotion, just felt nauseous. He regretted it, but how much was his regret worth? Tansy, what's going on? Amidst the tussle, the partner who had just settled the bill walked out of the hotel. Fu Sheng stood tall and straight, with the noble bearing of a dragon and the elegance of a phoenix, looking countless times more handsome than the haggard-faced Kaljiyu. In an instant, I found the perfect way to completely rid myself of that lunatic. Kaljiyu. I shook off Kaljiyu and strode confidently toward Fu Sheng. Kaljiyu, your regret comes too late. I've found someone better than you now. He's devoted and sincere. Far superior to a 2-timing scoundrel like you. Kaljiyu was never one to accept being slighted. I had just humiliated him in front of another man. His face darkened instantly. He stood up from the ground, staring at me intently, then suddenly laughed. He's devoted and single-minded. Does he know you're a married second-hand woman? Bro, even a divorced woman is acceptable. You're really not picky. Huh, I'm so pissed off by Kaljiyu. What a shameless bitch. I took a deep breath and smiled, saying, he knows. But he told me, if a dog bites you, just hit back. No need to tie yourself to a dog for life. Fu Sheng chimed in with a timely laugh. That's exactly right. Who hasn't met a few scumbags in their youth? Luckily, Tansy has me now that I'm here to protect Tansy. If that damn dog dares to bother her again, I'll beat him up every time I see him. Under Kalgu's gloomy gaze, we left. On the way back, I took the initiative to say, that was my ex-husband just now. Sorry for using you as a shield. I'll treat you to seafood next time to make it up to you. Fu Sheng looked at me with a half-smile. Your taste in the past was indeed questionable, but I don't want to be a shield. Tansy, how about considering making me official? I will absolutely be devoted to you, never changing my heart. I shook my head with a smile. Don't joke around, Fu Sheng. Let's just be pure business partners. I've had enough suffering from marriage. All I want in this life is to live freely and without worries. Yes. A woman's value has never been confined to marriage alone. Now, I have money, a home, and goals. Just want to soar freely under the vast sky and sea. No more being trapped in trivial matters of love. Seeing my determination, Fu Sheng said no more. After half a year of partnership, he already knew my temper well. Once I've decided on something, I won't change my mind. After that, I remained focused on my career, opening one chain store after another. Once I had money, I started hoarding properties. The balance in my bank account kept growing, yet Kaljiyu still wouldn't give up. He kept pestering me from time to time, but no matter what tricks he used, I never softened towards him. The bond between him and me was severed the moment I was reborn. I absolutely refused to repeat the same mistakes. Later, my business empire grew larger and larger. For safety, I hired over a dozen strong and robust bodyguards. Kaljiyu still wouldn't give up on me, but now even if he wanted to see me, it wouldn't be so easy. When I had earned more money than I could spend in several lifetimes, I retired early, then began my journey of traveling the world. Later, Cal Gu developed stomach cancer and wanted to see me before he died. The Gu family had many people call me, but I didn't answer a single one. I truly kept my word. I never forgave him for the rest of my life. The moment I heard the news of his death, I let out a long sigh of relief. Then I went into the room and opened a bottle of fine wine. Such good news deserves a celebration. In this lifetime, the one who finally died of depression was him. Those who betray true love don't deserve happiness. Cal Gu, this is exactly what you deserve. As for me, I'll live a lavish life with endless wealth, enjoying a life of luxury beyond your wildest dreams.